All right, check out the website at thecivilrightslawyer.com. And in the most recent post, you'll see a series of federal court orders from West Virginia showing a troubling pattern of these drug task force police officers obtaining illegal search warrants, which are subsequently thrown out of court. In fact, a federal judge just the other day mentioned this and referred the matter to the U.S. Attorney's Office, to the federal prosecutor, to investigate just what in the world's going on. Because in this particular case, which Reuters reported on just a few days ago, the warrant was thrown out, and the standard is that if the police officer ends up misleading or would mislead a magistrate into signing a warrant where there's no probable cause, then the warrant is illegal, it's thrown out, and there's a potential, there is a civil rights violation there as well. So the old federal prosecutor's office, apparently, this was revealed in this order, sent two federal investigators to talk to the state court level magistrate judge who issued that illegal warrant to get him to say, well, that wasn't the reason. The misleading information wasn't the reason I signed the warrant. And now it was brought back to federal court on a motion for reconsideration saying, look, we would like you to reconsider that this was an illegal warrant, that this police officer lied. And we don't want the evidence to be entered into evidence. It can still be suppressed, but we're just worried about the career of this law enforcement officer. Because if he's found to have lied to a judge, that could be a problem for a police officer. And now this federal judge who was presented with this is just apparently beside himself that not only do you have this pattern of police officers lying to get warrants, to get illegal warrants, but now you have you have federal investigators going to question a judge about why he or she signed a warrant. The court pointed out that that is completely improper for investigators to go question a judge, and also for a judge to entertain those questions in the context of why an illegal search warrant was issued. I mean, it is just an outrageous situation. And the federal court, in this case, ordered the new U.S. attorney, the new federal prosecutor, to investigate just what in the world was going on. And this is what Reuters has been reporting about in recent days. And there was just an article in the West Virginia Record here in West Virginia. So I've got that court order up on the website, and it's a fascinating read. And I also obtained all of the other court orders that are referenced in this court order, all the other cases of suppressed illegal search warrants. So if you go to the website, thecivilrightslawyer.com, you can review those yourself. I have also attached a case that I litigated that also involved a drug task force search warrant that was illegally obtained by police officers misrepresenting facts / lying to a judge to get a warrant. In that case, two federal judges found that a police officer had lied. One was in the criminal case where the federal prosecution was thrown out due to an illegal search warrant. And then the second order was the subsequent Section 1983 civil case that I filed after the criminal case was dismissed to seek money damages, which we got when we ended the case in a settlement. That was the Keith Sizemore case. And I've also put that up on the website. Again, this is the most recent post. So everything that you want to read about police officers lying to get a search warrant, you can check out in the most recent post on my website. And if you just stop and think about it for a second, how bizarre and how dangerous that is, that you have police officers involved in the war on drugs, these drug task forces, who apparently don't care at all about the Constitution, don't care at all about whether they're lying or not to a judge to get a warrant. And there are some officers who don't bother to get a warrant, and then there are officers who get a warrant and they lie to get it. This is very troubling, and it's something that's ongoing right now, and it all has to do with the so-called war on drugs and the fact that we've allowed our politicians to fund these drug task forces, which is all about money. It's a multi-jurisdictional thing where you have the state police, the Charleston, West Virginia Police Department, you might have sheriff's departments, and you have federal law enforcement officers in some of these, and they all combine forces using taxpayer money, and they have these, little gang units that they set up. And there's a troubling pattern of these sorts of units lying and being caught lying to get these warrants. So I've linked the media stories. I've posted the actual court orders themselves in full, including the one that I was involved in. And do you think that any criminal defendants were advised that the police officers involved in their case were caught lying to a judge? That should be known as a Brady List, and that's what's supposed to happen. Because if you're a criminal defendant or a lawyer representing a criminal defendant and you're having to cross-examine a police officer, and there's a jury who is supposed to assess the credibility of the police officer, wouldn't it be nice to know that that police officer had been found by a federal court to have lied to a judge under oath? Wouldn't that be helpful to know? Isn't that the sort of information that could get you an acquittal? That could get you even out of prison if you've already been convicted based on the testimony of that officer? This is the sort of thing that undermines the integrity of our entire criminal justice system. And far as I know, including in the case that I worked on, there was no Brady List that I know of created where criminal defendants or lawyers or public defenders or whatever were advised that this officer has been caught lying under oath. That is not information that has been shared by prosecutors. Why? That's a rhetorical question. Obviously, we know why. So take a look at these cases yourself. It's just one of those things where you have to take the time to read them. And like I was asked today by a group of students that I talked to in Washington, D.C. over Zoom, what can you do if a police officer lies to get a warrant? What can you do? Well, if it's a criminal case, you can get your case dismissed. You can get the evidence suppressed. Anything obtained by an illegal warrant is fruit of the poisonous tree and can be suppressed. There's also a civil cause of action for violation of constitutional rights. If the police officers search your home with an illegal warrant that's subsequently thrown out, well, what has taken place? A violation of the Fourth Amendment. The police can't search your home without a valid search warrant. And if it's an illegal search warrant, that now is a Fourth Amendment violation. So not only would they be liable for money damages under Section 1983, but they also will be and should be denied qualified immunity. Why? Because police officers can't claim qualified immunity where they're violating clearly established law that an objectively reasonable police officer would know. Can they really make the argument that as a police officer, they didn't know that they couldn't lie to a judge under oath? Could they really make the argument that an objectively reasonable police officer wouldn't know that they can't lie to a judge? Of course not. Therefore, they can't get qualified immunity. So something can be done about it. So the purpose of this video is just to direct you to my blog at thecivilrightslawyer.com. Check out the last post that has all the pudding where the proof is. And that is each of these decisions in West Virginia. And if it's happening in West Virginia, I'm sure it's happening elsewhere. So all the law that's out there on Franks versus Delaware and the intricacies of illegal search warrants due to police misrepresentations are all found in those cases. And this is a really fantastic federal judge who authored a lot of these decisions, including the main one that's basically blowing the whistle here. So I'd encourage you to check it out. It's all very well written, and I look forward to seeing if there actually is any investigation that takes place here and what, if any, accountability actually occurs.